All right. If you would help me in welcoming Bridget from Westlake, Texas. Yeah. Close enough. I tried.
Close enough. Oh, you're a sweetie. Oh, son of a God. Thanks. Good evening. My name's Bridget. I'm an alcoholic. I'm not proud of my past. I'm not ashamed of it, but I am an old stripper from way back. I am freezing my knickers off, so this will probably go flying out into the, And just so you know, I accept dollars. So I'm going to keep my coat on for a few minutes until I start talking with my hands, and then I'll warm up a little bit. So the first thing I want to do is thank the committee. I want to thank JR for inviting me like 12 years ago, because that's kind of when this all started for me. And then that crazy C thing happened, and I don't know what all happened. But thank you for having me. It's always an absolute honor to be asked to talk anywhere. It's an honor to be asked to do anything as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous for a girl like me. When you come from where I come from. I appreciate everybody. I love Flaggstaf. I was down here, I think in 2012 or something like that. God, the fellowship here, Julie and I were just talking, the fellowship here is phenomenal. You guys are so much fun. Give yourself a round of applause. And the committee, the food is spectacular. The tie-dye and all the games and all of that stuff, man. You guys can be really proud of the fellowship that you have. My sponsor talks about create the fellowship you crave, and Flaggstaf does a really bitchin' job of it, right? So good for you guys. That's phenomenal. But thank you. I'm going to qualify for I'm going to I'm going to tell you the truth because I'm a bad liar. I'm on about 2 hours of sleep since 3 a.m. yesterday morning. I had airplane from hell yesterday, and, sleeping. I don't know how much I slept last night. It was like kunk and awake, and, the trailer was rocking, and there's 4 women, and, everybody's doing something. It's women in a trailer. JR needs to work on his suspension on his trailer. That's I'm just making coffee. It's fine. And it's okay, because we go where God puts us, right? So I thank the committee. JR, thank you so much. I love you to pieces. You're a damn fine Alcoholics Anonymous member, and I appreciate you. Julie, I love you. All my Lake Havasu girls. Julie came in from Vegas, and some of you guys I met when I was down here last time, and I just love it. Okay, and thanks for having me. I'm dirty. I'm filthy. When they said it was an outside camp out, I didn't think it was like really all outside. Maybe there's a stadium somewhere or something. Nope. Auditorium. Freaking barn somewhere. Nope. So I'm doing a whore's bath. Remember the whore's bath, Visine and the baby wipes. It's like I'm just gonna wipe my feet off. So I'm here today by the grace of God in the program Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Bridget, and I am an alcoholic. My sobriety date, by the grace of God alone, and an amazing, phenomenal program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have not had to take a drink of drugs since November 14th of 1986. And for that, I am eternally grateful. Everybody claps when I say that. And today, birthdays, people go, birthdays, oh, congratulations. It's like, congratulating an alcoholic for staying off booze is like congratulating a guy with hemorrhoids for staying off a horse. It's like, really? The congratulations goes to God. Happy birthday to me. But congratulations to God. The age of miracles is still with us, and here it goes. Oh, come on. Is that the best you can do? Finally, a man who understands me. At least I hope you were, dude. Whatever. I thought I was gay when I came to AA. Turned out I was just a slut. So, we're off to a good start, JR. You might be able to get your money back for plane tickets. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to move these because I will knock them off, I assure you. And, oh look, napkins. Have I offended anybody yet? Besides you, Julie. My name is Bridget, and it is spelled Bridget. Remember that, because I end up on a lot of fourth steps. I am absolutely okay with ending up on your fourth step, but damn it, spell it right. Okay? So, thanked him, my Havasu girls, everybody. I missed Bobby last night. I really want to hear that. I'm looking forward to it. So I want to read this because this is a big book, and I'm an AA, and I'm a big book Nazi. This is from the big book, page 152. This is part of a vision for you. And this is our theme of our weekend. And this is what I've been thinking about. Picking up my diamonds on my earring. This is the bottom of page 152. You're going to meet these new friends in your own community near you. Alcoholics are dying helplessly, like people in a sinking ship. If you live in a large place, there are hundreds, high and low, rich and poor. These are the future fellows of Alcoholics Anonymous. Among them, you will make lifelong friends. You will be bound to them with new and wonderful ties, for you will escape disaster together, and you will commence shoulder to shoulder your common journey. Then you will know what it means to give of yourself, that others may survive and rediscover life. You will learn the full meaning of love thy neighbor as thyself. It may seem incredible that these men are to become happy, respected, and useful once more. How can they rise out of such misery, bad repute, and hopelessness? The practical answer is that since these things have happened among us, they can happen with you. Should you wish them above all else, and be willing to make use of our experience, we are sure they will come. The age of miracles is still with us. Our own recovery proves that. So I wanted to read that, and I want to talk about miracles, because I like miracles. There's a miracle sitting in every chair, out here, in here, around here, over there, whatever. You know, miracles. So Julie and I were talking before we, we were bullshitting during the How It Works. It is what it is, sorry. That's about the last time I'm going to cuss too, just so you know. So I Googled the word miracle because I wanted to know what the Google had to say about it. And of course she's like, that's not a 1939 dictionary. I'm like, whatever. I've got one at home. You want me to call Susan? Everybody's a critic. Says the dictionary, it says miracle. It says a surprising and welcome event that is not explicable by natural or scientific laws and is therefore considered to be the work of a divine agency. And she said, what'd you say, God shot? Isn't that about right? Look what God can do. I live in Weslaco, Texas. We went over that. I said, just say Texas. Nobody can say Weslaco. Weslaco, Texas is down the south of Texas. I'm about an hour and a half inland from South Padre Island in Brownsville. I live 6 miles from the Mexican border, and I moved down there. I'm not from Texas, but man, I tell you, I got there as fast as I could. I moved down there 2 years ago. My husband and I went down there to take care of his mom and dad. See, my life and my recovery in my life, our lives, has come full circle. I never took care of my parents. I was never present for my parents. My parents died in my first year of sobriety. Well, one of them did. I'll tell you in a minute. If you're sitting here wondering and looking at me and going, oh my God, she's so young. How can she have, dogfight. How could she have 37 and a half years of sobriety? Oh my God, she's so young. I did get sober when I was 4. Okay, not really. I got sober when I was 19, but I'm going to tell you my drinking really fast because I got a whole lot of sober log I want to get to. My drinking was always just there. Alcohol in my family was like air, like oxygen, right? I'm the youngest of 8 kids. By the time I came around, there's a number of years between me and the second youngest. I was basically raised by myself. After I came around, my parents were kind of done raising kids. My mom had 5 kids in diapers all at the same time, and they were done. So they'd go, and they were split. They were functional, if you will, and alcoholic. I don't know, none of my business. But by the time I came around, they were kind of done. So I was kind of left to my own devices. So from the time I was being left alone in this big giant house, from the time I was about 5 years old. Accidentally, I'm sure. But like mom and dad would go to the bar and they would assume that some of the other kids were floating around the house somewhere. They weren't. I was by myself. We fended for ourselves about that time, old people. Microwaves came out, so I'd nuke a chicken, whatever, in the microwave or a bologna sandwich, whatever. And that's what I lived on. And so what happened to me is the stuff that's not supposed to happen to little girls. I was tall, I was lanky, I was 5'9" from the time I was 12 years old, long blonde pigtailed little girl, right? And I become a target. I'm an easy access for a neglected little child. That's not what makes me an alcoholic. Hold on just a second. Okay, I got a crinkle, it's gonna make me trip. Or I'm just gonna trip because I trip. I'm a klutz. So that's what it was like for me when I was a little kid. I always wondered what the heck was wrong with me. I could never figure out why I am in my life like a long-tailed cat on any given day, at any given time. I am like a long-tailed cat in a room full of rockers. I'm like, just a little twitchy, a little edgy, I just wanted to die. I could never figure out what the heck was wrong with me. There's us, there's you guys, and then there is this big me that makes no sense. And then I turned 6 years old. And when I was 6 years old, I went to a party at my Aunt Mary's house, and I went under the kitchen table. You know how you go under the kitchen table? And I mixed all the drinks in the half-empty drinks into glasses, and I drank it down, and I sat there for a minute, and nothing happened. And then I drank another one because, see, I'd seen all these people drinking in my life, and I thought, oh, God, that looks so cool. So I decided to try it. Right, and there was always the NyQuil, and there was always the brandy in your thing for your teething or whatever. Growing up, my first memory as a small child is having my ankle tied to my crib with a nylon. My mom did that. Whatever, she'd probably get arrested for it today, or not. I probably deserved it. So at 6 years old, I'm under the table and I'm pouring all this booze together. I chug it down, I drink it down. I get up and I make my way into my cousin's bedroom, and I lay down, and I promptly vomit all over her bed, and I lay down, and the ceiling goes, woo! And I went, oh yeah. I have arrived. This. And I got the thing that went. I have figured it out. Now, I was 6 years old when that happened, thereabouts. from that moment on, that was what I wanted. I wanted to feel that. Whatever that was, it made me normal. I was, from the time I was 5'9" from the time I was 12. I'm not anymore. I have a really bad back, and my back has degenerated. I've lost 3 inches. So like I'm super tall. I stood a foot above everybody, and I'm blonde hair, and I stuck out like a sore thumb in life. And all I ever wanted to be, I was 5'9", and I was blonde hair named Bridget. All I ever wanted in my life was to be 5'4", have brown, bold hair, normal hair, and be named Sue or Mary, something normal, or Anne. And I wasn't. And so I'd take a drink of beverage alcohol, man, and I became 5'4", and I fit. And my small chest turned big, et cetera, et cetera. And so what happened was my disease progressed from there on. See, I couldn't get booze, but like I'd watch and I'd wait for Dad to drink down half his drink, and then I'd go, hey, Dad, can I have a sip of your beer? And I would polish off the rest of it. He'd never notice, right? Or Mom drinking her drink or whatever. I was always just trying to get it, okay? And when you're me and when you're not 21 years old, we do drugs. Is there anybody in here that's that got sober, never had a legal drink club? I'm one, okay? I couldn't get booze, so drugs were always easier for me to get, so I did a lot of dope, and I'm a drug addict. That's all I'm gonna say about that, because this is Alcoholics Anonymous. So, moving on. That was how I lived my life. From the time I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I started gravitating away and out of the family house, out of the house. I'd start being gone. I'd start getting gone and not coming back. And I'd be gone for a day, and then one night I'd come back. Nobody noticed. Mom never noticed. I'd sneak out the basement, sneak back in the basement. Then a couple of days, and nobody ever noticed. I'd sneak out for a couple of days and sneak back in. I grew up in Seattle. And so I grew up on the SeaTac Strip. I grew up in the location where we had Hillside Strangler, Ted Bundy, the Green River Killer, Mary Kay Letourneau, and one other guy, I can't think of his name. But that's where I grew up, was with all of that stuff going on. It's like some claim to fame. Oh, that's where I'm from. Yeah, you're a trip. So I'd stay gone longer and longer. I'd just stay gone longer and longer. And Mom and Dad really never noticed. I never really got in trouble for staying gone because they'd never really noticed. I'd sneak back in, and I'd be out doing whatever I did. Getting drunk, trying to get drunk, finding whatever I could, and acting out sexually, because that's what little girls do. When you don't have a stop sign, you're not given anything. Now, that's not what makes me an alcoholic. I didn't know that I was an alcoholic. I didn't know I was an alcoholic until I met you people. You did it to me. I ended up on the street. I ended up obviously stripping in the clubs. I am not proud of my past. I am not ashamed of it because of Alcoholics Anonymous. I bring it back when I share with you guys. Maybe somebody can relate, maybe you can't. That's okay. Oh shit, sorry, hold on. Sorry, it's time to practice my Spanish. I'm not kidding. I live by Mexico now, man. I gotta practice. So that's my kidhood. I grew up, my brothers and sisters would beat the crap out of me. I was tortured. I was locked in the freezer. I was locked in the dryer. I was a lanky, bendable kid, and they just torture me and torment and beat the crap out of me. We'd beat the crap out of each other. So it was no fun that you could cut the tension with a knife. That's my family. And so I just stayed gone longer and longer, and pretty soon I just stopped going. I know that people like when you have kids, and I'm going to school, but it just, I just didn't bother anymore. Pretty soon, I was really athletic and I did pretty good, but man, that stuff all got in the way of my drinking. It did. So all the athletics all went by the wayside, and everything just fell by the wayside, including my self-esteem, my pride, my integrity that I never had. I never learned it. Everybody would tell me, you've got so much potential. Nobody ever told me what I had the potential to do, but they told me that I had so much potential. But that was it. And I never learned anything. I ended up dropping out of school. I got pregnant when I was before I ever knew where babies came from. Had abortion. I'm one of those, Ended up working in the clubs in Seattle. And, the age of marriage, this is where God works. I want to show you what God can do. God put me in Seattle. God didn't put me in that strip club. I put me in that strip club. But what he did was he took me from that strip club to Alaska, where I was able to get in touch with a bunch of people who saved my life, Alcoholics Anonymous. I ended up in Alaska on a run. I know you find that hard to believe, but long story short, I ended up getting arrested one more time. I've been in raids. I've been in guns in my face, law enforcement, the whole 9 yards. And getting sober. I ended up going through treatment, getting sober. I'm going to fast forward. Ended up in Kodiak, Alaska, swearing to God I'm never going to do another drug or alcohol as long as I live, and it's going to be peachy. And by 5 o'clock that night, I was loaded. I was at the bar, I was loaded. And I still wasn't 21, so I was getting kicked out a lot until I got fake ID. I had no integrity. I was manipulative. I was just a horrid human being. And if you were unlucky enough to be in front of me, I would take you for whatever I could get from you. I was an avid car borrower, okay? What that means, you laugh like I'm kidding. I was a car borrower, and I'll explain this to you because you guys are laughing, you're not believing me. I would ask you, hey, you know what, can I borrow your car? You would give me your keys, you would go, hey, it's the blue Ford, whatever, out in front. Okay, thank you. And I'd take your rig and I'd start it up. I'd go do whatever I needed to do. I'd park it back in the parking lot or wherever. And then I'd go to find it again and I couldn't. And then I couldn't remember what kind it was or where I parked it or what it looked like. And it was, remember the olden days before we had the thing that went blip, blip, right? Blip, blip, because that's what I do today when I can't find my truck. I just go blip, blip at Walmart or whatever. They didn't have those back then. This is the 80s. Blip, blip, we had the locking doors, And so then I would just end up with the keys and I would go, okay, well, that's easy come, easy go. Sorry. So if you were around, Seattle or Alaska in the mid 80s and I borrowed your car, see me after, I owe you an amends. We can work out the amends. So I'm an avid car borrower, and I did it on numerous occasions. I would borrow a car, and I would lose it or misplace it, or I couldn't figure out how to start it again after I'd stopped. So when I got sober, I ended up with a bunch of car keys. I thought really important people had lots of keys, so I thought that's what I was. I was really important. A lot of people trusted me. I don't know who they are. So I ended up getting arrested one last time. I was let me think, 19 years old. It was 1986, beginning of 86, end of 86, and I ended up getting into the ended up in the hospital from after getting arrested, and this is another miracle. God put me into that hospital right in front of a doctor. And the Alcoholics Anonymous in Kodiak, Alaska at that time had done, the CPC committee, the CPC chair, PI chair, had done their job. That doctor had the phone number for some AA members. And he looked at me, and I was 5'9", and I had, I was an IV drug user. I apologize if that offends you, but tough. BRIDGET. My arms were hammered, and he looked at me and he said, "Do you want help?" And at that time, I was only communicating. My friend Don says, in a series of grunts and clicks. It was very appropriate. And I said, "I don't know." He said, do you want help? You know, and I hear people say, well, if he wants help, he'll ask. It's like, you know what? I couldn't freaking ask. So if you're waiting for some newcomer to call you because you gave them your phone number, get off your butt and call them. Because I couldn't call you. I couldn't pick up the 500-pound phone. And that man asked me if I wanted help, and all I could do was go, I don't know. Language of the heart, God and his miracles. The man reaches back, picks up the phone, and calls Alcoholics Anonymous. Two of the most inbred-looking birds you ever saw. Ladies showed up and sorry, not really. It's just the way I talk. So these ladies showed up from Alcoholics Anonymous at like 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning. For me, don't you know who I am? I'm the guy that I'd stared at my shoes because I couldn't lift up my head. You know, I couldn't look you in the eye. They said, do you want to go to treatment? I said, whatever, yeah. So I ended up in treatment. Did 30 days, lied my way through it. Got out of treatment. Got the 30-day coin, and everybody's like, you're going to have Lori be your sponsor. And, you know, women were out for three things: your money, your dope, or your old man. So I'm like, I'll be damned if I'm going to ask a woman. I wanted Ray with the Corvette. A sponsor is somebody that bought me the drinks at the bar. So you know, what that treatment did was it allowed me to learn how to go to meetings. And it allowed me to learn a little bit of honesty. I was getting ready to get out, and I was terrified because I knew what was going to happen. I was going to walk out that door of the treatment center, and I was going to go back to Tony's bar, because that was all I knew. And I was unemployable. I didn't have a high school diploma. I don't have a job. I'm unemployable of anything that's taxable anyway. And I remember being terrified. That terror, because I knew that I was screwed. And I've cleaned that up a lot. And I sat down for the first time, and they told me, you know, got to write your fourth step. And I sat down, and I grabbed a pen and a piece of paper, and I started scribbling all of the lies that I'd told. And I crumpled them up, and I handed it to my counselor. I said, I don't ever want to see this again. And I gave it to her. And I got out like the next day. I was voted the least likely to stay sober in my treatment group. I'm the only one still sober. I got out of treatment, went to meetings, got a job slinging fish. I was fishing in Alaska, doing stuff, you know, in and out of town, whatever. 30 days, 60 days. I got my 60-day coin, and then I was still hanging around the yahoos, and ended up taking a bong hit. Changed my sobriety to that. That's November 14th. That's the day that I celebrate today. And I haven't had to take a drink or drug since then. So if you're in and out and stuff, I can't see anybody, so I'm kind of blind here. You know, keep the faith. This program really works. So I got sober in Kodiak, and we were going to meetings, and I'd do stuff, and we'd hang out in my old timers, and I got Lori to sponsor me, and Lori promptly got loaded at 6 months when I had about 6 months of sobriety. So my first year of sobriety, so November 14th, May of 87, my dad got diagnosed terminal. I had to fly down to Seattle. You people flew me down to Seattle to go visit him. You said, you got 3 days, go down, see him, come back. Don't mess around, okay? I said, okay, because you guys know how to do this stuff. I didn't, and you knew that about me. And old Chiniac Joe comes up, he goes, you got one opportunity with this kid. Don't F it up. I had no idea what he was talking about. What he was talking about was, my dad got diagnosed, and when I told my old timers what had happened, because I'm 19, I didn't understand that he was terminal. He was not going to live through this. They knew. And Chiniac Joe made sure, he said, don't F this up, meaning don't get loaded and screw this up. And I went down, I saw my dad for one day. That was May of 87. August 23rd of 87. I got a phone call, and oh, by the way, I got pregnant. I know this is crazy, right? Got pregnant 4 months sober. I don't know who the father is, because I didn't change. I couldn't, I couldn't change that behavior. I wasn't there. I wasn't capable yet. And August 23rd of 1987, I got a phone call. They said, Dad's dead and Mom's had a massive aneurysm burst. She lived. The only reason she lived was because she was in the waiting room going to see my dad. She had an aneurysm 7 days before my dad died. So she's got tubes coming out of her brain. Now, you know what happens when you take alcohol away from an alcoholic? After a few days, they start going into DTs. So this woman had, I don't know all the ins and outs. I wasn't there. This is hearsay. She had aneurysm, massive brain surgery, and then somehow went into DTs and scrambled her brain. My mom lived through that, but she never really knew who I was after that. So basically, I lost both my parents at the same time. That was August 23rd. I went down. They said 3 days. We buried Dad, Irish wake, whatever, and I flew back. But I had that one day with Dad where he saw me sober. And that one day, I got that opportunity to show him that I was stone cold clean and sober for real, no bull, not even lying. And that, thank God, I'm so grateful that I had that. Yep, the age of miracles. I gotta look at the clock. Okay. My old timer said, honey, you can't keep turning tricks and stay sober, so I quit doing that. And they said, you can't drive without a license and stay sober, so I had to go get a license. You made me go get a driver's license. They said, you can't stay sober just running games all the time, so they made me go get my GED. Those mean old ladies in AA. And then they said, why don't you go see if you got half a brain left, see if you can get 2 brain cells aligned with the moon and maybe go to college. And so I did. They just pushed me towards what normal looked like and said, just keep going. I couldn't wrap my head around being an alcoholic. I was still not 21. How could I possibly be an alcoholic? I couldn't understand this whole allergy of the body thing you guys keep talking about. And then I started understanding. They said, go look at the doctor's opinion and bump your experience up to it. Look at all those times you went out and wanted just to take one drink, and you couldn't. I just thought I was changing my mind, man. I just thought I'm a party girl. That's what I do. I'm a party girl. I just changed my mind like 547,000 times, right? Just changed my mind. And I remember getting off the boat. We'd hit town, get off the boat, and get the boat cleaned up, and I'd go, okay, I'm just going to go to the Mecca and just have a couple of drinks. And I'd get to the Mecca, and I'd have one, and then I'd have that next one, and bam, manifestation of the allergy, the phenomenon of craving. I didn't know that's what was happening in me until you people taught me that by showing me those experiences, by sharing those experiences in Alcoholics Anonymous. Celebrated a year, celebrated 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Finally ended up, after the oil spill happened, I blasted my knee out really bad, and it was just time. God puts you where he needs you. Ended up down in Oregon. And what happened was as I got busy, the worldly clamors that Bill talks about in the big book, he talks about the worldly clamors started happening. And I'm 5 years sober, 6 years sober, and you guys are you're marching me up to podiums to talk, and I'm all that in a bag of chips because I'm the young guy in AA. I'm the kid in AA that's sober, and the coins keep coming. I'm not thinking about drinking. I'm going to school. I'm getting involved in service. I'm managing the central office down there and the intergroup and getting involved doing that, sponsoring some people, moving and shaking in AA. And man, you know what? That compulsion, that phenomenon of craving left. All this good stuff was happening. 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. And then about 9 years of sobriety, I looked around and went, I'm doing all this stuff. Why do I want to kill myself? And I got back active in step work. I got a different sponsor. And and went through the steps again. And that worked for a little while. And then moving and shaking, and I had the big AA wedding, and then we had the big AA divorce. And nice to know y'all are still awake, God. 9 years, 10 years, 11 years, I had a great career. I started doing treatment, working in treatment, and among other things. I could never do treatment. I always needed more money. There's no money in treatment. And I landed some good jobs, and then I got tired of, and I was riding a lot of motorcycles. And what I didn't know was happening was I was falling back spiritually asleep. All that spiritual awakening, that big spiritual great stuff that happened when I got sober. Yes. Thank you, God. The age of miracles, right? And then my next miracle happened. And it's going to sound like a horrible miracle, but it's a miracle no less. I'm going to explain it. I've been single for a long time, 4 or 5 years, living by myself, going to work, doing great stuff. Life was in session. And I had about enough of being single, so I found him. Oh, you know him. And he had all his teeth, and he had hair, and God, he was gorgeous. So 15 seconds later, I married him. And it was fine. Okay, it was fine. I'm coming up on 17 years of sobriety. He just celebrated 20 years. We're good, right? We got the cow, the cat, the car, and the curtains. We got a big shiny house, big shiny motorcycles. We got big shiny stuff. We got great careers. I got a great career coming open. We're coming back from 9/11 has happened, and all this stuff, and life is starting to, the world is starting to open back up again. And I went to work one day, and I thought it was cool. We're going to meetings, and we're like the moving and shaking couple in AA and all that stuff, sponsoring people and chairing meetings. And I went to work on a Monday morning, and said, see you later, and, good night, goodbye, whatever. And came home that night, and he had eaten a shotgun in my bathroom that morning. And he did not live, in case you were wondering. And what happened for me was I hit a new and exciting bottom in Alcoholics Anonymous, as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I will forever be so incredibly grateful for that day. Not that he did that, but what happened afterwards is another miracle, more miracles. Because I ended up, I remember when he was laying there and I was calling 911, I had sponsor on one phone and 911 on the other. And I was sitting down next to him, and I said, and it was nuts, you can just imagine, it was horrible. I also have a really bad case of PTSD, in case you're wondering. I'm fun at a party. I remember sitting down there next to him and going, you know what? And I said another one of those. My first third step prayer when I first got sober was, I was laying on a bunk one day, and I said one of them cussing prayers. You know what? I don't know who the hell you are, where you are, God, whatever. But I effing need help, and I effing need help now. Because I was heading to Tony's again. And I said another one of those, and I said, you know what, God, I don't know what the hell you're doing here with him laying here. But I don't know. But I know that you don't waste a maneuver, so whatever you need to do, just please, God, don't let me drink through it. I ended up, after we got him dealt with and buried and cremated, whatever, and he had 3 kids, and I had to deal with them. And then what happened was, moved away from there. I rode with a motorcycle club called the Alki Angels, Clean Silver Motorcycle Club, for many years. I rode with them for many years. A bunch of my club was up in Bellingham, Washington, and so I went up there. I just kind of gravitated up there. I never really liked Oregon. I just didn't. I never did. But I was there, and that's, I went to college, graduated college, yay. Another miracle. Ended up in Bellingham, and I ended up at a convention down in Oregon, and was talking to one of the tapers, and he goes, "Hey, Bridget, where are you at these days?" Because everybody known what I'd gone through. They knew Dave, they knew all the stuff, and Bob asked me, he goes, "What are you doing nowadays?" And I said, "Man, I moved up to Bellingham." And he goes, "Oh, he goes, really?" I see, yeah. He goes, "That's where Dave and Polly moved." And I went, it was one of those Scooby-Doo moments, and I had met Polly back in '90, my sponsor, and she had talked at a conference, and I said, "Man, if I ever live in the same town as that broad, I'm going to ask her to sponsor me." Dang. And then you get in trouble when you have to follow through with that crap, don't you? God. So I ran into her, and I had gravitated away from my old sponsor, a couple of sponsors, and not that they did anything wrong. It's just God puts it in front of you. And so I ran into Polly and another old timer, Eleanor. Eleanor was an old timer up in Bellingham, and Eleanor's, those crusty old timers with the cigarette whiskey breath voice, and she's got, right? And she's got what do you call that thing? They suck the oxygen up their nose. And she's got the oxygen going, and she's got a cigarette in one hand, and she's just going to tell. You're just waiting for her head to freaking explode at any minute, right? One bad spark, and that broad's going. I'm in a meeting up there one day, and I had met Eleanor many moons before. I hear, "My name's Eleanor, and I'm an alcoholic," and another Scooby moment, God, this is how God and his miracles. I'm like, I know her. I know her. And I grabbed her on up after the meeting, and she's like, "Hey," and her and Polly grabbed me, took me to her house, to Eleanor's house, and Eleanor took a spiral notebook, slams it down on the coffee table, and said, "Get writing, honey." I said, and it was not pretty. I said, "Eleanor," and this was not nice, and this is horrifying, so I apologize if it grosses you out or anything. I said, "Eleanor, my husband blew his effing head off in my bathroom." She said, "Bridget, there's a solution for everything in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, remember?" I said, "Eleanor, my old man blew his effing head off with a shotgun in my bathroom." She said, "Honey, there's a solution for everything in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, even that." And I remembered Kodiak, all of my old timers circling the wagons on me when my mom and dad croaked out. I remember them circling the wagons on me when I had my kid. I gave my kid up for adoption at my 1 year. Ow, that hurt. God dang. No blood. We're good. And they circled the wagons on me, and that's what Eleanor and Polly did. They circled the wagons. I didn't realize what had happened. I didn't realize that I had fallen back spiritually asleep. It happens. My ego rebuilt. You guys are telling me, "Oh, you're so cool. It's so cool. You got sober young." What I'm not telling you, I'm not thinking about drinking or anything like that. I'm thinking I'm just fine. I think I'm that in a bag of chips. But I'm making decisions rooted in self. I'm making decisions that are nuts. I'm marrying people I got absolutely no business, apparently got no business marrying. Who knew? He was a little mentally ill. He wasn't mentally ill. He was a liar, a cheat, and a thief. He wasn't working a dang program. There was no depression there. He wasn't working any steps. He didn't have a sponsor. He wasn't doing anything. We're like just flying around doing this big fellowship AA stuff. Cute don't catch fish. Can't just sit in a closet and wait for God to slip me weenies, man. And they, oh God. Shit. Okay, I've got a parent. Should I explain? Do I have to explain what that means? Sorry. What it means is you can't just sit around and expect miracles when you're sitting on your butt in Alcoholics Anonymous. Oh, meeting makers make it. I assure you they don't. Meeting makers make meetings and then they get suicidal. In my case, Dave's case. Oh, by the way, he was a liar, cheat, and a thief. He was doing, what do you guys call that? What do you call it when somebody is good? Like if I say that I'm a veteran and I'm not. Liar. No, I know that part. Stolen valor, thanks. Yeah, he was doing that. And nobody knew that. He had a double life. He had this big life recovery. Oh yeah, 20 years of all this recovery, Vietnam veteran guy, camaraderie. And then there was the truth. And the truth of the matter was he was never in the army. He was never in the military. I think he did some state stuff. I don't know military. And he never got honest about it. And all that stuff come out after he committed suicide. So, I'm 17 years sober. He did it. He died 4 days before my 17 years sobriety. And what's my time looking like? And what Polly and Eleanor did for me was they sat me back down and they put me in basically Alcoholics Anonymous boot camp. I went back through the steps. Nobody took me. There's no taking it me through the steps. I went back and got a new big book, and I started back at the beginning of the big book because I have a big ego, and every time I see highlights, this book, as we were talking, this book is 2 years old, in case you're wondering. No lie, it's 2022. I got it in front. And I go buy a new big book because I want to start at the beginning. I want to look at, I have 37 and a half years, somewhere around in there. I said that only brag. But like, I want to be sober 30. I want God lives here. Look what God can do today. I want to look at my first step today. So I'm going to go buy a new big book, and I'm going to open it up to doctor's opinion, and I'm going to see what my experience today, how that lines up with what the doctor's opinion says. Am I still that? Do I still experience that allergy of the body? See, I don't think I do. I don't have to go drink to find out. I just have to imagine. What does it look like if Bridget were to pick up a drink today? It is not pleasant. I'd be down in Mexico quickly, and then digging my own grave. I am not a nice criminal. They hate me, you know, and I won't live. I know that about myself. I want to know what my step 2 looks like. I want to know what my relationship with God looks like today, 2024. Who knew? You know, I know what my experience looked like at 5 years and 15 years and 20 years, but I want to have a new experience today with God. See, the age of miracles is still with us. That means, look at what happened. I am standing here today as a direct result of Dave doing that on November 11th of 2023. Wow, that was, oops. Yeah. And if he hadn't done that, and hindsight, you know, somebody really smart said, Kierkegaard, there's my quote, said, you know, we live life forward, but we understand life backwards. And I tell you something, I understand looking back, I see how dang close I've been to drinking, and how dang many times that God has carried my stupid butt, you know? Undeserved grace. God's grace, an undeserved gift. And as a result of that, as a result of David doing that, I end up in Bellingham. I end up in front of Eleanor and Polly, some amazing women. I end up in front of back in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with a fervor like I've never had before, going deeper and deeper by the grace of God. That's my miracle. As a result of that, I get to celebrate a life. I remarried. I re-divorced because I was not healed yet. I remarried before I was ready, and I wasn't healed. See, that's what Alcoholics Anonymous is about. It's a lot of healing, a lot of the stuff that we've gone through. And because of ending up in Bellingham, because Dave did that, because of what God has turned my life into, because of what God has done, I ended up meeting the man of my dreams, being able to be healed enough to be present for a marriage to the man of my dreams, and absolutely being spectacularly, oh my God, head over heels in love with a guy in Ferndale. Who knew, right? Nice man. And he has all his teeth and great hair. He's not one of us. So we started dating. His name is Brian. And I had known him for a few years before because we all ride motorcycles together. And he rode with a different club. And but I don't judge. And I got to do further, deeper sex inventory through that stuff with Dave as well. Brian ended up asking me out on a date. And that was, our first date was, so I'd known him for a few years, and then I had bumped back into him. And our first date was October 4th of 2014. And we got married Valentine's Day of 2015. And that will be, we'll be married 10 years on Valentine's Day. That's a miracle. That's what God can do. Look what God can do. Look at where he put me. I'm Flagstaf, freaking Arizona. What the hell am I doing here? It's freaking cold here, y'all. Right? But let me tell you something, man. Spectacular. I sponsor some amazing people. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I'm in the book almost every day, doing different stuff. I got a 12-hour delay in Dallas. Sorry, I cussed. I had a 12-hour delay in Dallas yesterday. Oh my God, don't get me started. I had a 12-hour delay. I was on the phone, and I picked up a new sponsee on the phone yesterday, and we're in the big book. You know, it's like, man, okay. I was supposed to be on a plane yesterday, but there I was, able to be there for her when she called and her ass was falling off. You know? Look what God can do. And I look around during that sobriety countdown, but I can't see anybody anymore, so whatever. I'm like, there's like 4 people in here, so I just assume everybody else has gone to bed and sleep well. Oh, thank you for laughing, because between that and the dog fight, it was cool, right? Yeah. You know, look what God can do, man. And my sponsor says, Bridget, don't limit God. What does he do today? See, God lives here, now, today. Oh, it's June. Shit. June 1st. Holy crap. I need sleep. I'll sleep tonight. Hell, I'll sleep when I'm dead. No rest for the wicked, and the righteous don't need it, right? You know, look what God can do. On June 1st, 2024. This is where God is. Right here, right now, not tomorrow, not yesterday. I can't stay sober, stay clean on yesterday's shower, right? I got to stay sober today on today's program and what I do. And I get the grace to not take a drink or a drug, contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual program today. Today. God lives in the present. That's why they call it a gift. God, I got a bajillion of those stupid old things that my old timers taught me. But man, they're so apropos. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. I don't know who it was. I don't know where it was, but this was the conversation, and I'm going to slaughter it, but whatever. I am not a professional. I don't know if you can tell. The conversation was something about, he goes, I know a lot of church-going folks. And he had a conversation with one of his church-going buddies, and he said, this church-going buddy said, I never see miracles today. I'm like, you're like in church. You're supposed to believe in the miracle of God, whatever. And this church-going, he said, this church-going guy's like, I see miracles like few and far between. And me and my buddy are going, I cannot for the life of me remember who I was talking to either. This is so weird. And it was like 2 weeks ago. Senility. It's real. So we're talking, and he goes, yeah. But you know what? In AA, we see them all the time, all day, every day, man. 50 freaking some odd years of sobriety, 30 days, 48 hours, 30 minutes. A whole bunch of people who normally would not mix, and you're all sitting here in the dark together. As far as I know, y'all are naked, right? By the way, it wouldn't be, it's too cold. Right? Yeah, right? And we're like, dang, man, we see miracles all the time. The age of miracles is still with us. Isn't that just the stuff right there? Look at what we get to be part of. That they, whoever the they is, they don't get to see this stuff. They don't get to see, Skid Row junkies having joyous marriages and beautiful babies and weddings and being present for funerals. And in my case right now, being present as my taking care of my aging in-laws. My mother-in-law passed February after we got down to Texas last year. And we take care of my 90-year-old father-in-law now. He lives 100 yards away from, in the same park. It's just far enough he can't walk. He gets close. He drives the old Buick. Oh shit, don't run over my dog. I got a dog today, man. This is the miracles that we get to do. We get to watch people recover. To see people recover is the highlight of our lives. To watch the miracle happen. I'm going to read this and I'm going to shut up because frankly I get sick of hearing myself. And I'm sure you're sick of hearing me too, and that's okay. This is a pamphlet put out by Alcoholics Anonymous, so if you're offended by it, call your sponsor. This is P41. I don't think they print it anymore, but it's called A Member's Eye View, and it's one of the best pamphlets AA has ever put out. So you can Google it. I'm going to read this because this is absolutely appropriate for our theme of our weekend. The age of miracles is still with us. Our own recovery proves that. And I can never get through this without crying. But it's okay because I got a hanky. See that, JR? Oh, God. I'm so grateful. Thank you. It says, ladies and gentlemen, who would dare to attempt to analyze a phenomenon, diagram a wonder, or parse a miracle? The answer is only a fool. And I trust that tonight I have not been such a fool. All I have tried to do is tell you where I've been these past 16 years and some things that I have come to believe because of my journeyings. This coming Sunday in the churches of many of us, there will be read that portion of the Gospel of Matthew which recounts the time when John the Baptist was languishing in the prison of Herod. And hearing of the works of his cousin Jesus, he sent 2 of his disciples to say to him, "Art thou he who is to come, or shall we look for another?" And Christ did, as he so often did. He did not answer them directly, but he wanted John to decide for himself. And so he said to his disciples, "Go and report to John what you have heard and what you have seen. The blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead rise, the poor have the gospel preached to them." Back in my childhood catechism days, I was taught that the poor in this instant did not mean only the poor in the material sense, but also meant the poor in spirit. Those who burned with an inner hunger and an inner thirst, and that the word gospel meant quite literally the good news. More than 16 years ago, 4 men, my boss, my physician, my pastor, and the one friend I had left working singly and together, maneuvered me into AA. Tonight, if they were to ask me, "Tell us, what did you find?" I would say to them what I now say to you. I can tell you only what I have heard and seen. It seems the blind do see, the lame do walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead rise, and over again, in the middle of the longest day or the darkest night, the poor in spirit have the good news told to them. God grant that it may always be so. I thank you for allowing me to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I thank you for allowing me to be present for Flaggstaf AA. Man, y'all are rocking, and thanks for your attention. Where's my clothes?